I'm making a face. I'm making a face so that stays as the thumbnail for this video. Hey guys, what's up? Aristotle Full Throttle, talking today about woke filmmakers, movie makers, actors, people who participate in the Hollywood industry, the Hollywood system, I'll call it, who are aware of the ills of society and are working hard against them, or at least to raise awareness. I've got sound. What's up, Ismail? What's up, Tatiana? I see that Tatiana will be joining us during a work meeting. Hey, V. Hey, Steven. I'm just fueling up. Got to get warmed up. I'm a little bit tired. Been having trouble sleeping lately. You know, we do have trouble sleeping when we're experiencing high levels of stress and anxiety and all that and whatnot. Hey, Mom. Let me know if you could hear my air conditioner. It's in the background. It might be causing white noise, but speaking of white noise, we're talking about woke filmmakers today on Aristotle Full Throttle. Every day we talk about movies at noon, 5 days a week. Just wanted to sort of settle into things. Hey, Anjen O, we're going to wait till everybody sort of trickles into the room, and we'll have our coffee, we'll have our donuts, we'll have our Danish. Remember those Danishes? You guys ever go to church, go to happy hour? They called it happy hour or whatever, or like the meet and greet after you had the mess, and then there were like Danishes. I looked forward every Sunday to eating one of those Danishes. That's what I got out of going to church as a kid. I was like, if I can endure this for the next 40 minutes, I get to have a donut. That was mainly the thrust of the appeal of church for me as a kid. My mom will tell you that I did not do good in Sunday school. I got kicked out, in fact, of Sunday school. Turns out if you ask questions, people don't like it. When they're trying to indoctrinate you into a religion, and they say, here's a bunch of stuff that sounds completely implausible and ridiculous that was written in a book that's 2,000 years old, just accept that for truth. And you're a kid and you're like, it doesn't sound right. It doesn't seem like it aligns with science and physics and my personal experience as a human being on this planet so far. I'm 5. I'm 6 years old going, doesn't add up. I was questioning authority at a very young age. Hey, listen, if it doesn't make sense, question it. If it doesn't feel right, look inward. Try to understand why it's not feeling right. We have lots of experiences in life where we go, hey, whoa, that didn't feel right. You intuit a strange encounter sometimes in your life, and you wonder, what is it that is making me feel this strange right now? Sometimes there's an answer. Sometimes you're just paranoid. I was telling my friend the other day, and it's important to know this, guys, and I'm sure a lot of the folks... Yeah, I would throw, Ange and O would throw Ava DuVernay and Spike Lee in there. You know, I deliberately left Spike Lee off of the thumbnail for this one, and I will get into that in a second. Spike Lee is the granddaddy of being woke, for sure. However, there's a couple reasons I chose Boots Riley and Jordan Peele for the thumbnail. But yeah, those are absolutely folks who are in touch with the black experience in America. I was just saying, though, the other day I wasn't hanging out with anybody. I was talking to a friend on the phone. It's a pandemic still. And I was saying how there's this moment when you're black or brown in America, and it depending on which group you are. I happen to grow up on Long Island. I grew up in a red county, if that says anything. Suffolk County, Long Island is a red county, meaning that the majority voted for Trump last election. I have many feelings on that. But I was telling my friend, hey, it's, you know, like when you're in a group of folks, you're black or brown, you enter a room full of people, perhaps they all happen to be white, okay? Let's imagine a scenario, you're black or brown, you enter a room of people who all happen to be white. Sometimes depending on the folks that you are encountering, sometimes there's a palpable unspoken thing that happens. There's clearly a shift in the tenor of the room you'll sense as someone who's a minority. And then you'll be able to tell that some folks in that room may not be speaking freely, or they may be adjusting how they talk or behave. And this is true with any dynamic. Any person walking into, like if a beautiful woman walks into a room and then there's like a bunch of macho men, they might change their behavior when the woman walks in, or vice versa, or whichever combination of people you want to, you know what I'm saying. The point is, when I walk into a room and the tenor changes, or there's a slight dynamic of people, you could clearly, I'm wearing an elephant on my shirt. There's an elephant in the room. Guys, it's really obvious to us. Just so you know. Just so you know, when y'all are like, oh, we were just talking about something, now we feel like we can't talk about that thing now that this brown or black person is here because it might seem insensitive, or it might seem like, I don't want to seem racist. You might feel that way. Guys, we know that's happening. There's no surprise to us. We could feel that when we enter the room. We could feel that. So I just want you to be aware of that. Sorry, I was getting notifications and I got sidetracked. Train of thought. Yes. It's really obvious to us when we walk into the room and then people change what they might be talking about, or they shift the conversation to avoid perhaps talking about the idea that you're brown or something. I've noticed that if I walk into a room of just all different folks, all different ethnicities, nobody cares. They just want to talk. Just want to talk about stuff. It's not like a big deal. When you're the only brown person in the room, you walk in the room, but then everybody's like, there's a shift. And everybody's trying to play off that maybe they're not thinking, oh, there's a brown person here. That's unique and interesting, or strange, or I'm curious, or, oh, okay, who are you? Like, it's just so painfully obvious. So just be aware that we're aware of that. I think it's because people are afraid to talk about race. And I made a joke on TikTok about how I would have fun as a kid when people would ask me what I am, which is a funny question to ask a human being. What are you? It's a funny way to try to categorize them immediately and pigeonhole them in your mind. It's like, well, let me present to you a reason to instantly have an idea about who I am, not by asking me questions about me as a person, but trying to put me into the box inside your head that would alleviate any kind of like curiosity. Some people are genuinely curious and they want to know about ethnicities, but it's never really a question that you ask people, really. I mean, I don't know you like that. Think about that. How often do people just go like, I can understand it. Sometimes I can understand if someone has an accent. You're like, oh, where's that accent from? It sounds like you're French. Are you from France? Because if someone's like got a clear accent, that's one thing. But if someone is speaking in the exact same way that you are, living in the same place that you are, and then you're kind of like, where, and they ask you where you are from, that is not a fun feeling. It's kind of silly. It's ridiculous, actually. I think so I would have fun as a kid and just kind of rope-a-dope them until they got tired of asking. Because it's really just, the problem I have with it, I think, And a lot of people are like, well, why don't you just tell people what your ethnicity is? It's because I don't have to. Because I don't owe that to you. You're asking me to tell you something about me that's frankly none of your business. Because it's as if I owe you an explanation for my appearance. I owe you that explanation. You might be wondering why I'm not white. Let me explain to you so that you feel more comfortable. That's just not how I work. It doesn't really matter to me. I'm more interested in your interests. What are you interested in? What do you like to do? What are the things? What movies do you like? Are you a DC or a Marvel fan? Or both? I'm just a movie fan. If those movies are good, I like them. If they're not good, I don't like them. And DC, I'm sorry, your movies are not good. They could be much better. Sorry, Star Wars Episode 9. You're a terrible movie. I apologize in advance to Jimmy James Cordova, who just entered the room. Jimmy James is a Star Wars loyalist. I am too. I love Star Wars. I will always love Star Wars. However, I will never love Star Wars Episode 9. All right. Angelo says, I can attest to the South. They ask a lot, especially when one thing doesn't meet the criteria of their generalization. Yes, people want to quickly generalize and pigeonhole you. Right away, they say, hey, this doesn't add up in my mind. You are not white. I need an answer right now. Give it to me because you owe me that. And for some reason, I think it's appropriate to ask you about your family history upon first meeting you. I don't think that that's appropriate. Let's see. What's $113.19 divided by 2? I am going to... We interrupted this program to pay a bill. Guys, if you're like me, you've been just kind of figuring out your finances right now during this corona situation. And it's an interesting situation, I tell you. You never know let's see. A pin. What was my pin, guys? Do you guys remember my pin? What's my pin? Let's see if I remembered it. Oh, I remembered it. Thanks. I just think it's hilarious that people are like, you owe me that. I just met you and you owe me an explanation of who the heck your family comes from and why I oughta. You don't. Let's see. Jimmy James, it's funny how you definitely point that out to me. Yeah, Jimmy James, you're a loyal fan of Aristotle Full Throttle. You're a positive fella. And I appreciate your enthusiasm. And that's why you're welcome here. You're welcome here any day, Jimmy James. Because we love Star Wars here. And we'll always talk about Star Wars with affection. I think that Adam Driver was a great addition to and Daisy Ridley and John Boyega are phenomenal additions to the Star Wars universe. I think they are all excellent choices. And I think that we're going to see John Boyega kind of take over Hollywood. This dude is he's going to be an icon. And we're going to realize about John Boyega later. Adam Driver's a little bit of a diva. Daisy Ridley is turning out to be a fine actor. Her movies are getting... You know, who would have thought she had done like a commercial before she did Star Wars Episode 7, and now she's like all in these like... She's basically the new Helena Bonham Carter. Jimmy James says... I get asked what nationality I am because I have a Mexican accent and I say certain words that my neighbors would always use. I had Scottish and British neighbors. Interesting. Yeah. I think you're in Texas, right, Jimmy James? Because I know El Paso pretty well. I like El Paso. El Paso is essentially, there's a Tex-Mex. I don't know if that's offensive. Let me know if that's an offensive term, but I know that they're like... Right on the border of Texas and Mexico, there's a lot of intermingling and as far as culture. And I live in Los Angeles, and Los Angeles literally was Mexico. And I live in Los Angeles, which is actually called, let me tell you the full name. I don't know why I don't remember the name. I try every time, and I'm like, I speak Spanish, I can understand. But the full name of Los Angeles is... Who knows the full name? Let's learn it together. Lots of typing, lots of... It is this. This is very... I really want to start saying this just to be a Weisenheimer. Every time someone asks me where I'm from, I'll say, I'm from El Pueblo de Nuestra Señora la Reina de los Ángeles. De los Ángeles. El Pueblo de Nuestra Señora la Reina de los Ángeles. That's where I live. Rockport, Texas. That's a cool name for a town in Texas because it's got the word rock in it, and I like to rock. I've played all over Texas. I was in a band called Cage 9 for a minute, and Cage 9 played all over Texas. We stayed in Austin for about a month, and we played Houston. We played El Paso. What, did we play El Paso? I know my band Veda played El Paso. We played Dallas. We played Austin. We played, where else did we play? San Antonio. Remember the Alamo? I do. I bought a pen from the Alamo just to support the Alamo. I did not pee on the Alamo like Ozzy Osbourne. Ozzy Osbourne is a rebel. Ozzy Osbourne got banned from Texas because he peed on the Alamo. But he's back. He's back in Texas, ready to pee on another monument. But I find it hilarious that people want to know your nationality. You know what it was when I was a kid testing out people when they were rudely asking so forwardly upon first meeting me, what are you? I'd say, okay, here we go. Let's play the game with this person, because clearly they're not understanding how rude and inappropriate that is to just sort of just blurt out at somebody, and in that fashion. If someone said politely, and I've had this many times, it's just like, oh, I'm very curious. What's your parentage? What's your ethnic background? I'm just curious because maybe, and then they explain their curiosity to you. I can understand that, and I'd be like, oh, well, that's interesting. Allow me to explain. Because I got kind of tired of going through jumping through the hoops. But when people say, like, what are you? When I was a child, it made me feel icky. So I'd go around in circles with them until they got tired. But that's the thing. It's you don't really owe anybody an explanation for how you look. You just are. You just are the person you are. And I think it was really that feeling that, I don't know, none of your friggin' business. How about that? I have to say that there's an existential situation in America right now. And we're looking back at ourselves. And I'm going to try to illustrate this in a TikTok later. But I don't know, that last presidential election was soul-crushing for people, I think, who are of the minority in these United States. I think when we saw that there was a guy that got elected who was blatantly racist with racist policies, build a wall. The blacks, I love the blacks. These are the things he said. I love my black people. You don't say things like that unless you're like Cardi B. Dominicana. Hello. But the point is, it felt like a slap in the face. It felt like, wow, there's so many Americans who just go, well, you know what? I think your life isn't as important as my life. All of y'all lives aren't as important as mine. So basically, you're second-class citizens, and we all kind of know that. So we're just going to go ahead and not even pay attention to the fact that this guy is a dude who does not condemn racist groups, doesn't wholly reject in fact, he dog whistles to those people. He actually encourages those people. They are happy to continue their hateful rhetoric because there's really nothing condemning them or squashing them. The president is actually encouraging them. And when you see that, and you're black and brown in America, you see that go on, you're just like, hey, how do I even deal with the idea that I love this country, but why do I love this country? Because it clearly does not love me back. It feels like, why would I support a country that does not support me? We didn't land on Plymouth Rock. Plymouth Rock landed on Malcolm X. Speaking of Malcolm X, that is a movie by Spike Lee, and Angelo brings up the fact that that Spike Lee would be a good inclusion into this discussion today of woke filmmakers. Yes, Spike Lee is absolutely a woke fella. In fact, repopularized the term the magical Negro, which is an episode that I talked about yesterday. You can watch that on the rerun on AristotleFullThrottle.com. You could check out that episode. And while you're at it, guys, subscribe. I got to do this more because this will pay the bills and keep the lights on. If y'all subscribe to my channel, once I get to 10,000 subscribers, I can actually monetize my channel, which means I can get paid like per view. So you don't have to support the channel monetarily out of your own pocket. You just have to watch the show, and then that would help. So go to AristotleFullThrottle.com if you're not already a subscriber. If you want to support the channel monetarily, you can do that too. I would appreciate that. That would help me keep my coffee cup full. And you can do that by going to patreon.com/AristotleFullThrottle. It's a very fun, simple, whimsical name. Aristotle Full Throttle. The idea of it is just like, here it is, full throttle. Here are my thoughts. Raw, real, connected. They're forming as I speak. I want to connect to you guys. We're obviously all working through this situation. We don't know what's going to happen. I'm hopeful that this will change a lot of attitudes for the better. We could fight racism. Racism gonna exist, guys. Let's not fall into this trap. Let's not say, hey, racism, let's solve it in 2 weeks. Say sorry to our brown friends, and then everything will go back to normal, and we'll be feeling fine about everything. And I think there's a lot of folks that think that this is gonna be like a snap solution. It's gonna be a final solution. Good God. Sorry about the Nazi Germany joke. Sometimes Aristotle Full Throttle says stupid things. I'm not going to start talking about myself in the third person. God damn it. That's crazy. That would be like the president. Do you think I'm as crazy as a president? Yeah, we got to fight about that, DC. And I can't wait till the biggest fights we have are about just DC and Marvel, because those are just fun and good-natured. I do love the iconography. Listen, I was watching Justice League last night. I was watching Justice League again. Now, I just watched the middle section where they recover the mother box and they revive Superman from the death. They bring him back from the death. I was watching that whole section of the movie because that's pretty much all the section I can tolerate. And there's a lot of greatness in that moment, in that bit of the movie. They bring in the theme song from Superman. They bring in the theme song from the original Batman, the Danny Elfman theme. They bring in the John Williams Superman theme. But it's funny because it's like, dun, 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 dun. And they like change that last note so that you're like, ooh, Superman's going to be evil now because he woke up like Pet Sematary, doesn't understand who he is because his brain been a little mush for a minute. Tell me, do you bleed? That's pretty good. That's a pretty good part. But I gotta say, and I hate to say this, Jason Momoa, as much as he is likable, and as long as he's been acting, I'm kind of curious as to why he's not a better actor than he is. Certainly likable. Definitely can drink a beer and throw an axe, that guy. Definitely could probably lift a lot of weights. However, the acting, it's a little lacking. I felt a little, I was like, wait a second. I also thought it was funny watching the Justice League because part of the movie was directed by Joss Whedon and they had to do reshoots. So there are literally scenes where Ben Affleck is kind of in shape and has some stubble, and they'll cut to another shot and he's like about 30 pounds heavier and clean shaven because sadly Ben Affleck went into rehab for alcohol abuse during the interim before they did the reshoots for Justice League. So he was kind of going through a personal hard time, and he was working on himself, getting better, and good for him for doing that. However, it's a bit noticeable, and obviously the elephant in the room on that movie is the fact that Henry Cavill has like a weird upper lip because they had to CG his mustache out that he was contractually obligated to have because he was also simultaneously filming that last Mission Impossible movie where he had a mustache that Paramount paid for, I guess. Yes, yeah, I agree. Jason Momoa's range is limited, so we should keep him in that range. Because he is definitely likable. Yeah, that's like his thing. Jason Momoa got that bro vibe. He's got bro energy. He's got that like, hey, he's a cool bro. Like he should hang Aquaman. You know what? We're gonna let you hang out, even though I don't know. What do you do? Talk to fish? That's your thing, right? Okay. Well, you could be part of the group. Batman did say that, we need all the help we can get, and somehow talking to fish is going to be useful at some point. I was watching the Justice League and I thought it was hilarious that Jason Momoa is in that tunnel under Gotham and then it starts to get flooded and he's like, let me step in, yeah, bro, yeah, and let me step in with my trident, my 5-pointed trident, which doesn't make sense. I don't understand why I'm calling it a trident when it had 5 points on it. It's a 5 dent. It's a tri-quad hept. What's 5? What's the prefix for 5? Sept. Hept. Sept. That's 7. I don't know that what is the prefix for 5? Anyway, Jason Momoa was like, I'm going to stop this water. I'm going to stop the wall of water. And he couldn't even do that. What good are you, Aquaman, if you can't stop the water from coming down the tunnel? Come on, Aquaman. He's like, oh, guys, I'm sorry. I'm really not that great at this superhero thing. I can talk to fish, though. Anybody got a shark? Maybe we could throw sharks at the bad guy. I'll be right back. I'm going to go to I know we're in Colorado right now. I'm going to go to the ocean and get some fish. I'll be right back. That's Aquaman. No, he's good. I like the part where he had the lasso tied around him and he was telling the truth. A quindent. Thank you. Thank you, Angelo. A quindent. Quin is the 5. Quint. Yeah. I don't know why I couldn't think of that. My Latin. Bad. But there are filmmakers today who are woke, who get it. Jordan Peele gets it. Boots Riley gets what's going on. I left out Spike Lee just because I wanted to focus a little bit more on the people who are on the forefront of filmmaking today. Spike Lee obviously did Black Klansman last year, the year before, won for Best Adapted Screenplay. Spike Lee won his first Oscar, ladies and gentlemen. This dude has been making movies since the late 80s and finally won his Oscar won a Oscar of probably more. His movies are artful. They are very artful. They're very, sometimes they get a little heavy-handed, but sometimes you need a little heavy hand to slap you awake. And Spike Lee does that. He does that pretty well. He's like, listen, this might make you feel uncomfortable if you have not experienced this, but it definitely will comfort you if you have. Spike Lee's pretty good at that. He's like, I see you. Some people don't see it from this angle. Some people are, and movies sure as shit don't show it all the time. They want to show you, or at least the white audience or the grander audience, they want to show, hey, there were white people who cared. There are white people who are important also in the movement. Absolutely. However, we do seem to want to, in cinema and then the representations of so much of this stuff, we do seem to want to incorporate how the movement was a joint movement and that the blacks needed help with these movements. And I think Malcolm X was like, listen, we're going to do this with your help or not. There's this kind of tradition of making black Americans seem like they need some kind of help achieving their own and actualizing themselves. We got to get rid of these stereotypes. I was just reading a paper about how cinema and TV perpetuate negative black stereotypes in a lot of ways to show the dangers and the ills of having these stereotypes in reality. Like having these behaviors happening. It's like, okay, we're going to illustrate why it's wrong to be stereotypical inner city, maybe gang member or something, and we'll watch a movie about that. But it's kind of at the same time glorifying that. If you're a young child, black, white, whatever your background, watching a movie like that, you're watching a movie. And movie stars portraying these people who are in the inner cities and who are lower socioeconomic background, who turn to crime perhaps. And you're not necessarily taking the message that this is a bad thing to do. It's actually demonstrating, it's perpetuating a negative stereotype. It's committing it to film again in a new story to show again, instead of maybe showing a story like Black Panther, where there's a wildly successful king of a nation. The nation has the highest amount of technology on Earth, and obviously is the most advanced technological nation on Earth that doesn't want to share it with the rest of the planet because, you know what, F the rest of the planet, because everyone else is a colonizer. And I get that. I like that angle of the movie Black Panther. It's like, listen, come on, we're going to stay peaceful. We're going to keep all this technology because the colonizers ruined it for everybody. And Killmonger, the villain in Black Panther, you know, he's one of the better Marvel villains because he kind of made a point. You kind of understood. He's like, look, I grew up in Oakland, lower socioeconomic background, but I figured out that I turned to crime, the whole thing. But I figured out that I'm heir to the throne. And guess what? I'm going to take it. And I'm going to seek revenge. And what we heard from Kimberly, the woman who was saying F your target the other day, she was like, you know what? Y'all, you better be happy that we're just seeking equality and not revenge. And that is a scary thought. It's like, yeah, guys, like, just deal with the fact that people want to be on the same playing field. And frankly, you know, there have been wars that have started through history, and I don't want this to be the start of the race war in America, but it feels like we're headed that way. I honestly, it's a scary thought. These are the thoughts as they're coming to my head, and I'd like to distill this thought. I think for a lot of people, this moment is a moment of like, oh, we need to realize that we should probably just deal with this racism BS because we're all here existentially. We all exist on this planet. Why don't we just figure out the way to make this okay finally? Because Nobody's going anywhere. But there's going to be like fringe groups, small groups, like that KKK protest I saw the other day on the news saying like white power and all that nonsense. For them, they might be like, oh, well, now's the time to get our guns and start this race war. It's like, come on, guys, that's a futile effort. What are you going to achieve by doing that? What is the point of that? Why do you have so much hate in your heart? Why is hate the thing that motivates you? Yeah. What's up, Will? I see you. Yeah, Ryan Coogler, good director. I tell you, Creed was one of my favorite movie-going experiences of the last decade. I was super pumped. I think Ryan Coogler is also a genius filmmaker who needs to they need to just give this guy work after work after work. And as much as I love Star Wars, I think it's kind of a dropping of the ball to not allow anyone other than a white dude. And it's not that it should be a requirement. Like your race should literally not, or your background should not be a requirement for your directing. It should be your ideas and your pitch. But a lot of times, guys, people don't even get afforded the opportunity to be in the room. And if you're not afforded that, it's you miss out. That's why I like Taika Waititi. Taika is he's of mixed background. He's from New Zealand, and Taika gets in those rooms, and he's worked as an artist his whole life to try to get into these rooms and try to talk to these people. And he just said, you know what, F it. I'm going to make the movies I'm going to make, and eventually people are going to catch on. And that's what I think about Boots Riley. Boots Riley is a genius filmmaker. If you saw the movie Sorry to Bother You, I've never seen a movie like that. And I enjoyed every minute of it. The first 2/3 are the most hilarious 2/3 of a movie I've ever seen, and then that last third is just so bizarre and compelling at the same time, and it's just a lot of fun. Welcome, y'all. Remember, he hemmed it up. Took the launch 15 minutes to tune in. A race war is a non-starter. It would simply be genocide because of the numbers, militarizing a minority that already crumbles under the force of civil authorities couldn't amass a legitimate threat. Yes, Will. I think, yeah, people are looking for, we're all looking for the same thing. We all want life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Are we all afforded that equal opportunity? No. So we got to work on that part of the whole pursuit of happiness. Remember The Pursuit of Happiness, that movie with Will Smith? It's pretty good. The only downside of Creed was Stallone's missteps. Mandalorian episodes have diverse directors, including Taika. Yes, K-Ferg. What's up, K-Ferg? Mandalorian is taking those steps in the Star Wars universe to include filmmakers like Deborah Chow, by the way, who, awesome. I was watching the Mandalorian Filmmakers Roundtable on Disney Plus, and that's pretty cool. I was getting into that. Listening to the directors mostly. The actors, not so much. I don't know. Sometimes look, I am doing some acting in Los Angeles. I'm around actors a lot. I know actors personally as friends. However, sometimes I'm not as interested in their conversations. I want to hear more from the special effects department, the makeup department, and the directors and the writers. The actors, I don't know. The actors kind of want to just... There's a problem, generally speaking. I'm going to just zero in on the Mandalorian episode I watched with the actors talking. It was like, okay, guys, you're kind of all blowing smoke up each other's gun dart. I don't know what to term... y'all sound like a bunch of womp rats. This is just a bunch of bantha poodoo, what you guys are saying right now. I'm not into it. Hey, Eva. Amen, daddy-o. Yes, ma'am. Oh, man, we're going to cringe so hard in the last celeb vid that I just came out, if you haven't seen it. Oh, I have not seen it. I've not seen it, but oh, I did see the celeb video. Yes, I did. Oh, guys. I know what you're talking about exactly. All right. I'm putting on my jacket. I'm putting on my full throttle jacket to talk about this. I'm going to talk about that in a second. I do want to talk about the Rocky was kind of a white savior film. I agree. It could have done better in that sense. I was just thinking that when I mentioned Creed, I was like, you know what? Why couldn't Creed just do it on his own? But I think purely from a character standpoint, the movie Creed works because we know Rocky. He's a beloved, downtrodden character who's overcome adversity in his life. And his best friend was his biggest foe. His biggest foe became his best friend, who was Apollo. So purely on a character level, I enjoyed watching the legacy be handed down and Rocky being his uncle and helping him out. And I think Rocky, his purpose in that movie was to try to transfer what he knew about Apollo to Creed Jr., Adonis. I think I'm going to rewatch that movie, but when I was in the theater, I literally jumped out of my seat during the fight. I was like, yeah, you punched that guy in the face over and over again in a movie fashion. I love how every Rocky movie, including the Creed movies, has to include an actual physical knockout as a behind-the-scenes thing. So every movie, when they do them, and Sylvester Stallone is he's kind of notorious for physically getting injured on the sets of his movies because he likes to get into it physically and break his neck and get punched in the face. And of course, on that movie, Creed in particular, he worked closely with Ryan Coogler to be like, listen, I think Ryan Coogler was also grateful on a lot of levels to have legendary filmmaker and actor Sylvester Stallone be there to help guide the process because, let's face it, here's a problem that I find that I think is an actual real problem. A lot of times black filmmakers don't get a foot in the door. They don't even get a foot in the door. And then once they're given a foot in the door, they're sort of randomly granted that foot. They're sort of, maybe they do like a really good thing on a small level, and then they're like, and then Hollywood's like, here's $200 million, make a great giant movie. And for any filmmaker, that's a massive undertaking. And some people rise to the occasion, and some people can't because they don't have the steps in between. They go from small film to large film, and we always hope that the filmmaker who's ever entrusted with this $200 million franchise movie that they get handed, that they will rise to the occasion. Taika has risen to that occasion with Thor Ragnarok, and definitely branded it, but I think Taika has had a long career of movie after movie, and I know Ryan Coogler had Fruitvale Station. He's had other smaller movies, and then he was handed Black Panther, and of course rose to the occasion and delivered. After he did Creed, nailed it in my opinion. Did Black Panther and nailed it. So a lot of times I think Hollywood goes, here, minority filmmaker, here, female filmmaker. There should just be filmmakers, but in this illustration, I'm saying, here, Patty Jenkins, who also rises to the occasion. Here's so-and-so. They're given the opportunity. But Hollywood, for some reason, is fickle about anyone who's other than a white dude, it seems like. It seems like if you're a white dude, you can just keep making crap movie after crap movie, and they'll just keep handing you money to make a crap movie. They don't get drummed right out. But I think historically, if you're a minority filmmaker where like the investors, the corporate CEOs and whatnot, and the studio heads, the executives are all like, hey, we gave you a chance, you didn't do it, we're going to hand it right over to the mediocre white dude who, again. So I think, and I've said this about Ava DuVernay, because she's woke, she's with it, she's trying things, she's going for things. Personally, I don't think she's at the level of greatness that she thinks she's at. However, I think she should be afforded the opportunity over and over again, just like the average filmmakers. Like, I don't know why Roland Emmerich keeps making movies. I don't know why, like, Michael Bay apparently keeps selling tickets with his crap-ass movies, but for some reason, he's allowed to keep making them. You know, there are so many filmmakers, you're like, why are you allowed to continue making movies? You're not good at it. But they're given the money. So I think that we should have a representative field of people who are making films, filmmakers, and say, look at all y'all. Y'all represent what people, all the different voices, all the different angles, and we'll keep giving you these opportunities over and over again. Even if you fail, we'll just try. We'll give you another shot, because we've given so many of these mediocre folks so many shots, and it's just infuriating. Yeah, I enjoyed Sorry to Bother You. I thought that was I thought it was hilarious. I just laughed. But yeah, I think Eva is talking about that latest video that's right now, it's trending on Twitter. Okay? We got to talk about this, because white folks who are feeling guilty, I'm talking to you, none of you are watching. But I am talking to you. Okay, you feel guilty. Totally fine. That's okay. Feel guilty. But also, work toward a better day. Work toward a better thing. Constantly going out there being like, hey, I'm guilty. Don't need that right now. Maybe y'all should talk to each other, I guess. I don't know, maybe putting out a video message of a bunch of white actors saying how they're accountable for each other. It's okay. All right, we get it. Listen, I don't know who you're saying that to, and I don't know why you're saying it. Perhaps part of me cynically thinks that you just want to appear to black and brown folks that you're one of the good ones. See how that changes? See how that term shifts? You know, like, I say that term because I was growing up in an area is mostly, the majority is white. I looked at the statistics of the town I grew up in, Islip, New York, in the late 80s and early 90s, when I was just a baby. Anyway, when I was growing up in that town, I looked at the statistics and the demographics of that recently, and it was literally 92% or 95% white and 3% black and 2% Hispanic or something. Just ridiculously white. The town my formative years, my years of just starting to understand the world, and it was mostly interactions with white folks, and mostly, and a lot of times, awkward interactions because of the obvious difference of my appearance. And also going around, my white mom, like, if she took us kids around and she had like these 3 brown kids with her, people would, you know, they'd look, they'd stare. We notice that thing. We notice when you're looking. We notice when you're not saying the things that you are thinking. We can feel that. Just so you know, it's pretty painfully obvious. But that video that Eva's talking about is a bunch of white actors: Aaron Paul, Stanley Tucci, so it's just a bunch of actors saying, we need to do it's. Yeah, you guys got to do the work. How about you just get home and read some books on it? Why don't you watch some movies that are informative? Why don't you watch I'm Not Your Negro by our favorite Baldwin, James Baldwin. You gotta educate yourself right now, okay? All of this mea culpa is a little bit much right now. I'm being gentle. If you're feeling guilty, if you're feeling sorry, okay, well, feel it then. Saying sorry publicly almost feels like you're demanding a forgiveness, or you're looking for a little bit of you're looking for everything to change now that you've said that, and then now we can go back to business as usual. And it's like, guys, Nothing's ever going to be the same again if we do this right. And that's the end of that statement. Let's see. Just kind of funny because it's like every time I was a racist asshole or turned a blind eye to horrible racist things or let racist jokes happen, every time I was a horrible ass. Yeah, that is so true, because I am vulnerable and now I am good. Look at me. Yeah, I think that's hilarious. There are little things that just like that that's basically, you know, I'm echoing that sentiment in that if we do this right, guys, it's not going to take 2 weeks of apologizing to fix this. It's literally going to change everything. Life's never going to be the same. We're not going to be like, I'm sorry, and then go back to feeling normal again for whatever normal is. There's a new normal. There's a new way of dealing with this. And I've said this before in the show, but I know what y'all are saying to me. White folks are saying to me, black and brown people like me. I know what you are saying to me. I hear what you are saying to me. Because you're saying it publicly. Because why would you say something publicly unless you wanted it to be seen publicly or viewed in a certain way? I just don't know what you are saying to each other. That's the most important part right now. Y'all need to be talking to each other. Instead of maybe calling me and asking how I'm doing, why don't you call your friend who is white and ask how they're doing? Try that. Maybe that'll help you feel a little bit better. Maybe not. Who knows? But it's a discomfort that you're feeling right now. It's a dissonance. You're feeling a dissonance and you want it to go away. It's not going to go away necessarily. You need to acknowledge that that dissonance needs to be owned. You need to own the facts. You need to own it. And I know that saying things publicly feels like you're owning it and you're apologizing to the black people, which is not really what people are. Hey guys, are we looking for apologies right now? What are we looking for? We're looking for change. Sorry doesn't mean anything unless you adjust the behavior. I've had this conversation with people before who I realized eventually that there was no way to connect on a level, because some people don't understand what an apology is. Some people don't. And it's very simple. This is an apology, guys. This is what an apology sounds like. I am sorry that I hurt you. I will take these steps in order to not hurt you in that way ever again. Period. That's what an apology sounds like. I acknowledge your pain. I'm sorry that I caused you that pain. That I did that to you. I will fix it this way. That's a real apology. What people tend to do, fake apologies. Fake apologies. Here's what a fake apology sounds like. I'm sorry you feel that way. That means like, I don't feel that way. You're wrong for feeling that way. You're invalidating someone's feelings. Another fake apology. I'm sorry. Another fake apology, by the way, is that didn't exist. That didn't happen. I didn't do it. There are ways that people will try to get out of it. They'll be like, well, you think that this happened and that didn't happen, so therefore I'm sorry you feel that way, but I didn't do it. That's not a real apology, ladies and gentlemen. And the third non-apology is, all right, look, I'm sorry, I did that thing, but really, is it that bad? Is it as bad as you're feeling? I don't know. Sort of try to take the weight off themselves. Be like, look, I did steal your cupcake, but you still had, I don't know, you still had some cookies left. So it's not that bad. It's like sort of not owning the fact that you stole my damn cupcake. I like cupcakes. I don't want you to steal my cupcakes. God damn it. What I think they are trying to do, which is also messed up, is to show vulnerability and admitted to their racisms so other people who will acknowledge their own, which is okay. Yeah, Eva, I'm not saying it's all bad. I'm saying that it's a mixed bag. I think this overcompensatory mea culpa stuff is just like, all right, guys, this isn't really helping anybody but you, but I guess if it helps you, then it's okay a little bit. If it actually imparts some change, then sure, that's okay, but this is not what's needed necessarily. We need to work on it. You just got to say, like, here's what I'm going to do. And like this whole... I acknowledge when I'm trying to sit here and imagine what it's like. If you're in this position of privilege, being a rich white celebrity, and you're in that position and you truly cannot imagine or understand what the condition is for someone who is underrepresented in society, you have limited options, I guess. One of them is to do what I'm doing right now, is to talk to people and express your feelings on things. And that's okay. But I don't know. I don't think it's all bad. I don't think it's all good. I think it's kind of annoying. But it's pretty cringy. I got a couple more minutes left here on Aristotle Full Throttle. I've got to keep it to about an hour because I've got a lot of things to do today after this. But I dedicate this hour every day to you guys because I feel like we're tapping into some things. We're tapping into some deeper levels here. We've leveled up. The Mandalorian, going back to The Mandalorian for the last couple of minutes, I think is pretty cool because they are introducing new filmmakers into the situation. And Taika and Deborah Chow and the dude who directed the episode with Bill Burr and all them, that guy's, was it what's his name? Y'all can help me out with that. Got a minute and a half on Instagram, but I'm probably gonna wrap it up in just a minute. Been having trouble sleeping lately, so I'm pretty tired. I don't know how you're feeling, but the emotional roller coaster of all this, I would say, frankly, these last 3.5 years, this last presidential situation, every day has just been an emotional knockdown, drag-out fight. And it shouldn't be a fight. It should be a constructive. We need to learn. If y'all want to apologize, the apology is on you. If you feel the need to apologize, that's fine. Don't expect to feel good right away. Don't expect to be forgiven right away. This is not what it's about. I think this discomfort that white folks are feeling, they have to start to realize that black folks and brown folks live with the feeling of discomfort in this society. They live daily with a feeling of discomfort. Imagine that. Now you're acknowledging that discomfort and realizing, oh crap, that must feel uncomfortable. I feel uncomfortable that you felt uncomfortable. Well, guess what? Now we're all in the same discomfort boat. That's how we're all feeling right now. But yeah, thank you guys on Instagram. I'm Aristotle, full throttle. You're bro on the know with the fro, and I'll see you tomorrow. Paused due to poor connection. Oh, I can share it. Look at that. Fabulous. Guys, I think it's funny how Instagram decides when and when not to share my series. But this is a particular, we're all working on this together, and I appreciate that you guys give me your time, or at least have me on in the background while you're doing the dishes. Whatever you want to do, that's fine. I'm here for that. I'm here for it. But I got to wrap up. I've got a few creative projects I got to do before 4. Thankfully, I have a voiceover audition that I have to submit tracks for, so I got to spend some time learning my character, learning who I am, what my motivations are. This is the beauty of acting. I have my own approach to it. I'm getting better at it. I love the craft. I love the art of it. I'm a musician. I always feel like musicians want to be actors and actors want to be musicians. I think that's a common problem that we have. We all want to try to, and you see the musician actors are like, they're almost pretty good. And then actors who want to be musicians, you're like, they're almost pretty good. But I don't know how good I'll be at acting one day, but hopefully I can. Hopefully I will be almost pretty good at acting one day. Voiceover acting is acting. Voice acting is acting. And the beauty of it for me is that you have to, my approach personally, I'm going to start my own acting school. My approach is you got to understand what the story is overall. If you can get what the story that is trying to be told is, and you can fit that in your head, then you know what the scene calls for, what you need to do as an actor to tell that story. The actor serves the story. The dialogue serves the story. All of that serves the plot and the story, and character is destiny. So know what is the fundamental part of your character, and and just don't F it up. Oh yeah, we all gotta go check out that Eddie Murphy song. Jimmy James reminded us. Remember What's Up With You? Let's find that Eddie Murphy song. I'm gonna go out on that song right now. Eddie Murphy. I got all Eddie Murphy's albums. Let's see. He sings a song called Patience. I remember What's Up With You because he did that with Michael Jackson. When you got money like Eddie Murphy, you like, I want to make an album now, and then you just buy a recording studio. What's up with you? Oh, where's What's Up With You? Wasn't that a song? Or did they get rid of it? Eddie Murphy and Michael Jackson. What's Up With You? Here it is. Is this it? That's the karaoke version. I'm going to have to sing it myself. Remember when we were kids and we were blissfully unaware and ignorant of Michael Jackson's pedophilia, but so we loved his music? We did not know that he was a predatory human being who preyed on the innocence of young children. That's how I dance. Michael Jackson. Eddie Murphy is so funny. That song's not bad. Michael Jackson's doing this one. We're singing Michael Jackson and Eddie Murphy songs today. Yeah. It's sad to see Michael Jackson. It's sad. It's sad to see the damage he's caused people's lives. It's a problem. He was a problem. Red flag, but the signs, red lights. Ooh, the song with Snoop Dogg. Let's find that one. I like that Snoop Dogg will show up at a recording studio and not have anything prepared, and then will like spit the hottest fire when he shows up. And for instance, when he showed up on that Katy Perry song, he walked into the studio with nothing and then just lays down. The guy is a professional. Snoop Dogg is at the top of his game. He's been doing this since he's a child. Oh, reggae. Eddie Murphy plays guitar? That's impossible. Oh, he's one of these. I know this song. Yeah. By the way, this video is going to get hit with some copyright claims. That's fine. Wait, whenever I see an actor playing guitar, I get extra critical. I want to see if they're actually playing, because sometimes actors want to just act like they're playing guitar. There's very few people who can pull it off. Maybe Ralph Macchio in Crossroads pulled it off a little bit, made it look real. Bradley Cooper in A Star Is Born playing the guitar, I was like, I could tell that he's not playing a guitar, since I'm a guitar player. I could tell that Bradley Cooper's not playing guitar. However, I do believe that he believes he's playing the guitar, so that sold it for me. And they're deliberately not showing Eddie Murphy's hands. Yeah, Eddie's talking about all the problems that exist to this day. Police brutality, low socioeconomic income, and all this stuff. It's like, Eddie is not really playing guitar, guys. I'm sorry. Or whatever he's playing is not that. Oh, here comes Snoop Dogg's flow. Here we go. Let it begin, 'cause this is the way that we flow. Higher and higher and higher we go. Through dedication, some preservation. Snoop Dogg. Gotta love him. Why is he so likable? Why is Snoop Dogg so likable? That's what we'll talk about tomorrow. Eddie Murphy. I think it's hilarious that Eddie Murphy is just a celebrity of stature where he can straight up go, all right, Snoop Dogg, I'd like you to come down and just rap on my song. And Snoop Dogg's like, okay, you're Eddie Murphy, all right. Yeah, it's a good song. It's the Eddie Murphys. Eddie and the Murphys. I don't know what the band is called. I'd like to call Eddie Murphy and play bass with Eddie Murphy. Like, listen, Eddie Murphy, I could play bass. I can play bass if you need a bass player. Cyndi Lauper clearly doesn't need me as a bass player. Y'all know that inside joke. You know how much I love Cyndi Lauper. Joe Satriani did all the close-ups with Ralph Macchio's guitars in the Crossroads, and when you had Joe Satriani, good Steve Vai played the Demon 2. Interesting, yeah. There are some medium shots of Ralph Macchio miming the guitar on the guitar, and he's actually in the right vicinity of the neck, and he is behaving as if. But the close-ups, you're right. The close-ups, Joe Satriani and Steve Vai, Long Islanders, by the way, both from Long Island. Joe Satriani taught Steve Vai too. He was his teacher. Both phenomenal guitar players. Thank you guys so much for joining me. I appreciate your time. I appreciate your input. And what we're going to do is do this every day at noon. At least for now. Maybe I'll change the time slot to a more accommodating time slot if I start to work again. Well, who knows if I'll start to work again anytime soon, but maybe we'll turn this into the new career. I do need your help, though. Thank you, Jimmy James and Tatiana, for being supporters on Patreon, patreon.com/Aristotle Full Throttle. That'll keep the lights on. That'll keep the cable bill paid. Thank you guys so much. Well, when I say cable bill, I don't have cable, I have internet. I pay the cable company for my internet. So that'll keep the internet bill paid. I actually just got HBO Max, and we could talk about that tomorrow. I watched Ad Astra. Maybe on Monday we'll talk about that. But I've been watching some HBO Max shows. I'm watching The Killing Joke right now, the animated feature, Batman, and I know we're going to talk about that. I know that we usually talk about movies and have a good time, but I think it's important to talk about what's on our minds. I'm Aristotle, Full Throttle. You're bro in the know with the fro. And by the way, we can have a good time talking about what's on our minds too.